So, some of you may have noticed lately that petrol's pretty fucking expensive. So I decided to do some research and figure out who the fuck to yell at. Well, we don't have a whole lot of it. To put this into perspective, Venezuela has 303 billion barrels of oil. We've got 1.8 billion barrels of oil, and that's disappearing very quickly. And to top it off, our refineries here aren't built for the sort of stuff that we dig out of our own reserves anyway. So we have to import anything that we want to refine here. We can't use our own stuff, which is awesome, right? Years ago, the US EIA, which is the Energy Information Administration, did a study into how much recoverable shale oil we have in this country, and it's 17.5 billion barrels, which is a lot. It's a lot. That would last us a fair while. Unfortunately, it is shale oil, which means it's all sort of trapped in rocks. So you need to do fracking. Fracking is, I didn't know this, fracking is basically high pressure water mixed with chemicals and sand, I think, and it just blasts open the rocks so you can get to the oil. It's complicated and expensive, and it's not great for the environment. But the US does it a lot, and that's where they get most of their oil from, that they use for themselves and they sell elsewhere. It's mostly shale oil now, so we could just ask them how to do it. I mean, that would be cool. I'm sure Donald wouldn't mind giving us a tip on how to get our own fucking oil. The other thing is, it's very expensive to build the infrastructure needed to get all of that oil out. So someone's got to pay for that. And the government probably won't be the ones to do that. And they're very expensive to maintain. Refineries, all of that sort of thing, it all costs money. And the problem with that, the biggest problem, is they're huge users of electricity. And Australia doesn't have very cheap electricity. It's really, really very expensive. Well, mostly net zero targets, unfortunately. I know we bang on about fucking net zero all the time, but I mean, we've got targets of 70% in New South Wales by 2035, 75 in Queensland, and 75 to 80 in psychotic bloody Victoria, where I'm from. And they want net zero by 2045. So in order to do that, I mean, what would be the point in maintaining coal-fired power plants and gas-fired power plants? There's just no incentive for anyone to spend money on them. So they fall apart, they become unreliable, which means you've got to go to backups more often, and it all costs lots of money. Well, that's just the coal, though. That's only in Queensland, Victoria, and New South Wales. Everywhere else it's gas, and that leads to another problem. Because we don't use any of our own gas, we import it all. Because companies who get the gas out, they make more money from selling it overseas, so why the fuck would they want to sell it here? And government hasn't made them do it, because they would just leave. And the government doesn't want that to happen, so we just don't do anything at all. Despite the fact that Australia is, I think, the largest producer of natural gas anywhere in the world. So, yeah, that makes sense. Just send it everywhere else because it makes more money for the companies, and fuck Australians, right? Well, that much is fucking obvious. Renewables, right? Windmills, solar, that's just the thing. Everybody has to do that. That's the answer because it's cheapest. They did a study. They got the CSIRO to do a study called GenCost, which was a few years ago now. And that was to study all the different methods of generating electricity in the future and to see which one was the most viable economically. And they had a media release which stated that it was renewables which were the cheapest. Unfortunately, it's not exactly true. A mob called the CIS, which is Centre for Independent Studies, they did a study on the CSIRO's GenCost, and they found that that wasn't fucking true at all. There was a lot of things that the study didn't take into account, like the solar panels, for example, that were part of the whole scheme. They would be purchased by individuals, whether that be private businesses or private individuals, and that wasn't included in the cost. And that amounted to $360 billion. That's a lot of money not taken into consideration. I mean, we are supposed to just foot the fucking bill for that. I can't afford solar panels. I don't know who the fuck can. I mean, there's a few people out there who do it. I don't know whether they go into debt to do it or whatever. I don't really feel like going into debt to put some fucking solar panels on my fucking roof. So that wasn't taken into account. It also wasn't taken into account that all of the power, the excess power that you normally get back on your bill, that doesn't go to you anymore. That goes to the power companies in this scheme. So they would be taking all of that when you normally would get it now. Right now you get that. In the future you wouldn't get shit. So that's awesome. That's not taken into consideration either. Neither are any of the subsidies that are paid to companies and people for putting green stuff up. And it doesn't take into consideration stuff like cost blowouts in these projects, like, for example, the famous Snowy Hydro 2.0, which has gone from $2 billion to $12 billion, and that was in 2023. That's 3 years ago, so fuck knows what it's like now. And they're also adding what's called the CCS, or carbon capture and storage, which is a sort of a measure to store carbon in depleted oil and gas reservoirs. And it requires retrofitting of existing power stations. And stuff like coal-fired power stations, it's very, very expensive to do it. And so people just aren't doing it. Companies, they're the ones who are running and owning these plants, and they just can't be bothered. Why would you? The government's giving you money to do renewables, and they're basically charging you extra to not do renewables, so why would you do anything but renewables, right? There's no incentive to provide decent baseload power, it's just do the renewables, basically, because of your net zero targets and your carbon capture and storage and all that. The funny thing is, though, a mob called CO2CRC and Gamma Energy Technology, in 2017 they did a study into how much it would cost, and they found that it was actually still cheaper to run coal even with the carbon capture and storage in place. So, and on another note, I mean, $12 billion for a Snowy Hydro, it doesn't even fucking work. I mean, a power station like your lawn would cost about $12 billion to retrofit with the carbon capture and storage. I know what I'd rather have, something that fucking works. Upgrade the fucking thing. Look, climate science and all that crap aside, it's still cheaper to do coal and gas powered electricity in Australia. It just is. And there's no way that you can argue that. Even the CSIRO came to that conclusion. They didn't tell anybody that. Their media release said that renewables were cheaper, but they're not. The study says otherwise. So you can't argue it. It's just cheaper. Why the fuck aren't we doing it? It makes no fucking sense. The answer to that is it's all just way too hard. It costs a lot of money. Government doesn't want to do any, spending of their own on this sort of thing. They would rather spend it on the NDIS or some bullshit like that. Imagine how many fucking power plants you could build for the cost of the fucking NDIS over that sort of period of time. It just boggles the mind. And I mean, now you got kids with ADHD getting money to retrofit their fucking houses for wheelchairs and shit because kids are being told they've got autism. And you're paying for that shit. I'm paying for that shit. Why? It's fucking stupid, man. Spend it on some fucking power plants. And this is the thing, once you get the electricity prices down, stuff like manufacturing fucking magically comes back. Think about that. I mean, all the car manufacturing, we used to do all of that sort of stuff. If it was just cheaper to do all of it, with the electricity prices being down, imagine how many people would still be in jobs building shit, doing stuff in Australia. Stuff we just don't do any of anymore. We've priced ourselves out of it ourselves, and it just makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense. And even if you're not focused on the electricity, then focus on the oil. I mean, oil and electricity are the two things that basically run countries. You don't have those two things, you don't really have much of a case to lower prices of anything, or make any money of your own. If you haven't got a good supply of oil, how are you supposed to do any kind of agriculture or transport? Everything is diesel. especially in a country like Australia, where you've just got miles and miles of road to get from one place to the other, or planes. It all takes fuel. Where are you going to get that shit from? If you've got it in your own country, then it's not really a supply issue. The prices will be fixed. Yeah, they'll be probably more expensive until you can find a way to bring the cost down, but you're never going to get there if you don't start doing it in the fucking first place, are you? I mean, just saying it's all too hard all the time is garbage. You gotta fucking start somewhere. And I know that's not attractive. Politicians don't like doing this, especially because they've only got so many years in office, and you're not going to see a return on this until well after they're gone. They don't want to have their name associated with something 20 years down the track. They want it now so they can get in office for a bit longer and get a better fucking pension, probably. And all this renewable shit, all of this sort of stuff, it's all, well, not all, but it's mostly overseas that benefits from all of this stuff. All the windmills and stuff, it's being brought in from other places. It's not really being done here very much. So who's benefiting from all of this crap, really? And you know, the worst part was I wanted to have, you know, someone specific to yell at, like the Greens or Labour or something like that. You know, look at their funding, it's all fucked, and you know, look at this clown who's fucking, you know, done this shit and he's dodgy as fuck and he's funding this crap, and you know, this is why it's all fucked. It's not. People are just shit. Humans are fucking idiots and they just want the quick fix all the time. Fucking lazy, man. And this is the entire problem with the political system in Australia. It's too fucking self-congratulatory. Everybody wants to just do what gets them the most benefit right fucking now. No one wants to invest in the future, and if you don't start doing that, we're gonna be fucked. We're already pretty fucked now. It's gonna get worse. We gotta wake the fuck up and start drilling. Do stuff. Make shit cheaper. Do more things. Do it. Don't fucking sit around going it's all too fucking hard. Just do the fucking shit. Spend the money. Do the thing. Make it cheaper. It'll fucking pay for itself, but nothing will happen if you don't fucking do anything. Anyway. Fucking angry now. Need a coffee. So, anyway. Till next time.